Good evening and welcome to tonight's webinar. I'm your host, digital marketing expert and coach, Sterling McKinley. And this webinar is brought to you by the good folks at Grow with Google and also the U.S. Black Chamber. So, once again, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with me tonight and to learn more about how to use all the tools and services that Google offers. So, this webinar is brought to you by Grow with Google. Now, what is that? That is a program that's all about empowering small business owners, black business owners to use all their tools and resources, what? To make more money, to be better at business, to attract more customers. So, tonight, that's what we're talking about. We're going to talk about how you can use digital marketing, how you can use Google's products and tools and services to make what? More money for your business. So if that sounds good, let's get started. All right, so once again, tonight's title is How to Make Better Business Decisions by Using Google Analytics. Once again, how to make better decisions using Google Analytics. So I'm going to get into it some more later, but I'll just set it up for you. Google Analytics is a great tool to learn about your customer behavior on your website and also to take some of those lessons and tie them into your actual business. So tonight, we're going to talk about that because now we're living in a time where there's so much data, information, and stats. But the part about I love about analytics is you have to make sense of that data because what good is data without context, without meaning? So tonight we're going to talk about how you can get more meaning, more context, and really drive your business decisions what from using your analytics. All right, so are you ready to get started? Do me a favor, type in Google Me. Once again, if you're ready to get started, type in Google Me. Something I just do, try to be funny and engaging. I like to engage my audience. So once again, it's all about Google and how you show up on Google. So once again, if you're ready to get started, type in Google Me. All right, let's move on and get started. All right, so why is Google Analytics, why is data so important? And pretty much data makes your briefcase heavy and your insides rich. Okay, so to kind of break that down, it's all about data. But once again, data is just numbers, it's just stats. And I said earlier, what good is numbers and stats without any context? So Google Analytics is all about having that data, but not only having that data, but using that data to make decisions and pulling insight from those data. So your likes you have on Facebook or on social media, Instagram. Great. Likes by itself means nothing, but you can use that data, you can use that customer feedback to determine how your content is doing, how your website performing, and you can take those same stats, data, and build that back into your company to make better decisions for your business, to create better content, and to create an experience that's really tailored to what your customers want. Because at the end of the day, that's what analytics is. Your customers are telling you what they want, and they're telling what they want by their data, seeing what sites they've been to, seeing what things they search for, seeing what types of content they interact with. That's all customer feedback or analytics. And we have to learn as business owners how to take that data, how to take those stats and really turn those in to business decisions. So, once again, that is what we're talking about here tonight. Okay, so let's talk about how to unlock opportunities and true insight. One, the information must be novel. That's mean it must be creative. It needs to tell something about your business. Next, it has to be credible. So one thing about analytics is you can trust in that data because there's nothing worse to have data that's not accurate. So you're making decisions based off bad data. So one of the key points is having numbers that are accurate. And next, you want to make that numbers actionable. And like I said before, it's great to have data, to have insight, but that insight has to be actionable. For example, if you have a website and you see customers are coming to your homepage more than coming to another page. Great. Based on that action, now you can realign your website to match customer behaviors. Once again, it's actionable. So from that data, now you can say, okay, because of this data, it's telling me to take this next action. So how can you use data? And I want to talk about how to use data to make business decisions rather than relying on gut instinct. I'll say it again. Using data to make business decisions or relying on your gut. I'm gonna zoom in here. This is what it's all about. So I believe now in 2022, soon to be 23, it's all about data. And the companies that are winning are using data. Microsoft, Facebook, Tesla, all these companies. These are data companies. Why? They're using their data about their customers to build better products. Amazon. It's the reason why you come back and back to Amazon. Why? Because they are looking at your buying, your browsing behavior, and now they're building that into that front page. So nobody has the two same pages on Amazon. I'm seeing the product and services that I may be interested in, and you're seeing the ones that you may like. Or let's take Netflix. So depending on what you watch, depending on what you browse, that's going to determine your home screen on Netflix. Once again, so these companies aren't guessing. What they're using is they're using data, and they're using that data to determine what products and services you may like. And the great thing is that analytics is not reserved just for the super, the rich, the big companies. No. The beauty of digital marketing, the beauty of Google, you now have the same access to the same tools that the big companies are using. And that's major. So as much as they're using data to drive their business decisions, you can do the same thing for your business. And tonight, I'm going to do my best to walk you through that. So once again, let's break down data. So one first, data, facts, or stats for reference. One. Next is analytics. Analytics is all about patterns and trends. That's it. People make it harder than that. It's about determining the trends and the patterns of your customers' behavior. That's all. And next, insight, actionable value. And that's what I said earlier. Data, numbers of stats are just stats. But based on those stats, you need to extrapolate. You need to come up with actionable data. So that's very key. Not just to have numbers, but really turn those numbers into actionable items. So tonight's agenda, we have about under an hour now. We're going to cover a few topics. First, I'm going to give you an intro into Google Analytics. So it's a very complex program, but I'm going to do my best to break it down and really show you how to use analytics. Next, I'm going to take you to how to find answer with reports. So really breaking down how you can ask the right questions to get a better understanding of your customers. Also, we're going to show you a few advanced features as well. And then we're going to recap. I'm going to just tell you how you can learn more about how to use Google Analytics. So, so far we just started, but is this helpful? If this is helpful, if you find it insightful, give me a 5. If it's a so-so, okay, give me a 0, give me a 1. So I like all 5s. But even this example here, this is the example of analytics. So I'm basing your feedback. You give me a 5, this is awesome. A 0, this is terrible. And I'm going to tailor my approach to that. So your customer feedback, your intended feedback, let me know how I'm doing, allows me what? To make better decisions. I can tailor my presentation now to fix you. So all of my webinars and trainings, all of those are recorded. I have a spreadsheet where I track views, I track likes, reactions, comments, questions, everything, right? And that data, I look at that data and I can see what trends. So guess what? If I'm getting a small amount of questions on a webinar, by looking at the data, it says, guess what? If you got a few questions, ask more questions. and engage your audience more, and you'll get more. So once again, it's very important. It's very important to really use data, and I'm using this data now to determine how I'm doing. So once again, if I'm doing great, give me a 5. I'm doing so-so, just give me a 0. All right, intro to Google Analytics. There we go. So first question is, what is analytics? You may have it, you may have heard of it, but Google Analytics is a free software that you could use to understand the behavior of your customers on your website or your mobile app. That's it. It is a free tool that better understanding of what's going on your website. And I said earlier, but you may not have an account. If you do, definitely get an account on Google. If you don't, also get an account. But I found one thing: a lot of people have accounts on Google Analytics, but they don't use them. So tonight, once again, this is an opportunity for anybody who's had an account on Google Analytics for years now or for months and haven't used it. I'm going to show you how to use it, how to make that actionable, how to use that account. So once again, there's two people here. There's people that are new, never heard of it, and then there's a crowd that has it. But tonight I'm going to teach you, if you really already have it installed, how to make it work best for your business. So the next question is, why use Google Analytics? Why? That's very important. So what it does, Google Analytics delivers valuable insight that can help you make strategic business decisions. That's it. That is a use case. Why? Because the better understanding you have of your customers and their behavior, guess what? The more money you can make for your business. So let's go through a few. The first one, you can learn search terms. You can find out what people are typing in to find your website. And that's key, because once you find that, you can make sure you have the website, those names, those terms in your website, or you can add new phrases of terms to your website. Next, you can see demographic information on your customer. So you can learn about your customer. You can learn their age. You can learn where they live. All these things are giving you more information about your customers. What they do is going to help you tailor your product, your services, and your website more to your customers. Another one is understanding what content that your audience wants the most. Once again, you can have a website and you can spend so much time and energy on certain pages and they're not visit that. Example, you have a restaurant and you sell hot dogs and hamburgers. Now you've put all your time in designing an awesome page talks about hamburgers. But guess what? You look at your data and all your traffic is going to the page about hot dogs. That means you need to change what you're doing. You need to make a business decision and switch your energy come from the hamburgers page and now feature the hot dog page even more. That's a very simple example, but that's what I mean. It lets you know what content performs the best. Last one, it lets you evaluate which channels drive the most conversions. So, are you getting more traffic from your email marketing or from your social media, from your Google ads, or just from organic search? Once again, it lets you know what works best for you. And once again, that's so key, because if you're spending all your time on email marketing and 90% of your sales come from social media, guess what? You should focus more of your time and energy onto building better content on social media. Why? Because the bulk of your sales are coming from that. So to set up Google Analytics is pretty simple. All you do is type in g.co/analytics, or just Google Analytics on Google and they'll pop up. Once you do that, create a free account to get started. And the cool thing about it, if you already have a Gmail account, you already signed up for all of Google services, whether that's analytics or YouTube. So chances are you already have a Google account. If you do, you can use that same login and that same password to set up your account on Google Analytics. Okay, so this is a snapshot of what you see in analytics, and it's pretty simple. It's a dashboard and it's laid out in a way to kind of tell you more about your business. And the dashboard is great because why? It's a snapshot of your business. So I'm going to give you a live example of some of the things that you will see on Google Analytics. So if you go right here, this is the dashboard. So once again, when you come in Analytics, it's the first thing you'll see. And this dashboard is just that. It's like a dashboard on your car. It gives you kind of an overview of everything that's happening on your website. And that's key. And I really liken this to a dashboard on your car. Think about how it would be driving your car with no dashboard. It would be scary. You wouldn't know how fast you're going. You wouldn't know how much gas you have left, how much oil you have. You wouldn't know your tire pressure. It would be scary. So once again, a dashboard is kind of a quick way for you to view all the things that are going on with inside your website. So that's very key and something you really want to make sure you have. So let's give you an example of why it's so important. Let's take an example of Eva and Ricky. So Eva and Ricky have a t-shirt business, and I'll tell you what works and what doesn't work. So this is what most people do. Most people go off gut instinct. I just feel inside that this will work, and I'm gonna make this product. And sometimes that can lead you in trouble. It's best to back up that gut instinct with what? With data. So their gut instinct were to create a new T-shirt design and immediately add it to their site. So with no testing, they made a design, they put it on their site. Next, they promoted the shirt based on what they assumed about their customers. Once again, they guess what their customers want, and they spent time and money, energy in creating a T-shirt. Next, they cut prices when sales were down. So once again, the shirt was going for, let's say, $20. It's so slow, and they cut the price in half. And guess what? All this data, okay, all of this they did without data, is all guesswork. And that's the thing I really want to key on today. And this is the most important thing, what I say. Once again, we're living in a time of great technology, in a time of so much data and numbers. As business owners, especially as black business owners, we have to use every advantage possible to us. And using data is a great advantage. So I believe that the days of guessing what works or doesn't work, those days are over. Yes, business is still a art, but it also is a science. So what we want to do is we want to use data. What we want to use data to decrease the guessing game, to increase the risk, and that's what data does. Why? Because data is now backing up our decisions. An example: Netflix. A popular show is Stranger Things. Guess what? Before Netflix made that show, which is now a hit, I believe on the fifth season, maybe, they looked at customer data, their viewing habits, and their browsing habits. And they built a show based around that. So instead of wasting money and throwing all your energy behind a product or service, do some research, look at your analytics, and make sure you're offering a product and service that your customers want. So let's skip to getting started using data. So the first step is to outline your goals. Think about what you're trying to accomplish. In Eva's and Ricky's case, they're trying to sell more t-shirts. Step two, ask questions. What answers do you need? Think about that. What don't you know about your product, your service, and what questions do you need answered? Step three, the reports. How can you find the answers? Once again, it's all about looking at data, and it's all about extrapolating answers and actionable data from those numbers. So first, define the goal. And there's simple steps here. So first, you want to be targeted. What is your goal? Define that. So if that's decrease sales by 10%, say that. Next, you want to talk about how you're going to measure that goal. And that can be in a week, that can be in a month, whatever. Measure that. And attainable. So you want to make a goal that's attainable. You don't want to say that in 2 days you're going to increase sales by 10,000%. That's probably not going to happen. Also, you want to make one that's relevant, that makes sense for your business, and also one that is time sensitive. So you don't want to set a goal with no time frame. Whether that's a day, a week, a month, a year, you want to put a time on that goal to make sure that happens. So, once again, check again. I want that analytics, that user feedback. How am I doing? If this webinar is helpful, give me a 5. If it's so, give me a 1 or 0. All right, we've got about 35 minutes left, so we're kind of speed things up here. But once again, let me know how I'm doing. If I'm doing good, give me a 5. If I'm doing okay, give me a 0 or a 1. Once again, I do love 5s more than 0s. All right, so now let's back up. Let's define Ricky and Eva's goal. So their goal is to decrease shopping cart abandonment rate to under 6% in the next quarter. That's great. Think about that. They set up exactly what they want to do. What are they trying to achieve? They're trying to decrease shopping cart abandonment rate. So the people that come to their store, they put the t-shirt in the cart and they leave. They want to stop that. And what they want to do, they want to have that under 60%, very targeted. And how long? The next 3 months on the next quarter. That's the kind of goal you want to set because it hits all of those key points. And, I feel as business owners, if you follow this simple strategy for your business, it's golden because you're being targeted at what you can do. You're making sure it's measurable. You're making sure it's relevant. You're making sure that it's targeted, and you're adding a time to it. That is something that you can do across your whole business to make sure that you achieve your goal. So let's go for you now. What are your goals for your website? Do you just have a website to have one? What are your goals? Your goals can be to drive more leads, more appointments, sales, phone calls, foot traffic, downloads, whatever you want. It really depends. But what are your goals? What are the things that you want to accomplish from your website? And think about that. So when you're building your website, think about that. If you want to highlight more phone calls, or have a phone number on every page, make it easy for somebody to contact you. If you want to get more downloads, we'll offer more downloads on your website. So think about what you want to accomplish and then build those things to your website. Next, you want to ask questions. This is very, very important. So the first one is reach. Who's your audience? Who are you targeting? You want to really write down who you're targeting. And a lot of this work can be pulled from your business plan. But think about who is your customer. Be very key about who your customer is and who you're targeting. Next, engage. Think about visitors. Can they find the answers? So when somebody comes to your website, can they find what they want, what they need? So I recommend sitting back at your website and viewing it as a customer. Think about what things they want to see, what questions they want answered, and make sure you have those built to your website. Next is convert. Think about, do leads become customers? That's key. That's the problem you all have. You get somebody to come to your site, you get somebody to call you, great. But now that they are our lead, they have to become a customer. Think about that. Next is sustainability. Are your customers loyal? And that's huge. I think that's the one thing in business that we don't talk about enough. Everybody says, I want more customers. That's great. But think about it. The customer you have, are you nurturing those customers? Are they coming back again and again? That's key. And we heard it all before. The cheapest customers to have are your current customers. Why? Because it costs more money to go out and market and get new customers. That's why I say when you get customers, treat them good. Give them what they need. Why? Because now that you have that customer in your funnel, they'll keep buying with you again if they're getting a good experience. So you want to think about building a sustainable brand, making sure that you don't have just one-off customers, that they're really in the system and they're coming back again and again. Moving on to reach. Think about, what are people searching for? When somebody comes to your website, what do they want? Think about that. Make it easy to view on your website. Be very simple. If they're coming for hot dogs, say hot dogs. Don't make them think, read. Also, once again, think about who is your audience and think about how they find you online. Is that through Google search? Is that through social media or so on? Think about that. Next, engage. So think about this. What do people do once they find you? Do they call you? Do they email you? Do they download a PDF? Think about that. Also, think about, where do customers engage you online? That could be social media, that could be email, that can be your website, that can be YouTube. Think about the path your customers take to your business. Once again, when you can identify where they're coming from, then I believe you can add more resources to that. Also, think about, how do people interact with you online? Once again, very key. Is that a phone call? Is that an email? What is that? Make sure you're doing that. And next, convert. Which channels drive the most customers? Once again, are they coming from social media? Are they coming from email? Are they coming from organic search? Think about where they're coming from. Also, think about, what calls to action drive conversions. So on your website, are you saying call now? Are you saying download, email? What call to actions drive customers? Also, think about which channels have the highest return on investment. Once again, identifying where your customers, your paying customers, are coming from. And also, sustain questions. Think about, why do people continue to engage with you and where? Also, do you respond? How quickly? It's amazing to me on social media. People have DMs from customers and they don't check the DMs. They get emails and they don't check their emails. Customers are not going to sit there and wait for you to get back to them. You have to get back to them eventually, or fast. And I believe many times the business that wins that new customer is the business that responded the fastest. So you don't want to waste time. You want to get back to that customer as soon as possible. Also, do you give people a reason to return? Is there information on your website, on your blog, social media, to say, hey, I want to return to that company and see what they're saying now? All key things to think about. So, step 3, examples of how to use reports. First, real time. That tell you what's going on your site right now. And let me show you an example of that really quickly. Hang on one second. So this is the real-time dashboard, and it is telling us what is going on our website right now. This is very, very important because you want to have an idea what's going on. So that is the dashboard that's going to tell you what's going on your site right now, and that's very important because once you know what's going on, real time, it gives you a better understanding of what time of day things may happen. It's very important to understand that. Next is acquisition, understanding where your customers come from. It's so important. Next is engagement, understanding how they interact with your website. Next is monetization, what and where are they purchasing. Next, retention. Once again, how frequently do they engage the return to your website? And also demographics, figuring out who are your customer, what do they like, and what do they want. Figuring out that who they are is very important. So, example of real-time reports. Once again, let's take you to a live example of what I'm talking about. So, the first thing I want to show you here is real time. Once again, this is a real time dashboard right here. You see the numbers counting down. It lets you know what's going on right away on your website. The next thing that we're going to talk about is audience. And if we go back to the web view, right here on the sidebar, you see audience, acquisition, behavior, conversions. These are the simple tabs that you want to check on. So anytime you log into analytics, the first thing you want to do, make this bigger for you, is log into your dashboard. And under reports, you'll see real time, audience, acquisition, behavior, and conversions. Those are the key places where you're going to find the information you want to give an understanding about your customers. So the first one, once again, is real time. And what does real time do? Real time, it helps you watch your goals and see them change over time. It also helps you to monitor the immediate traffic on your website that you may have from new content. Also, it helps you determine if a promotion drives traffic. So, if you start a sale, let's say at 9 a.m., if you log on to analytics at that time, you'll be able to see the people buying your website. So, that's always exciting to see. Next is acquisition. So once again, figuring out where do they come from, understanding how visitors arrive at your website or your app. And let me show you that again. So if you scroll down here, acquisition. And if you click that, you have a few things on there. You have traffic, ads, search consoles, social, and campaign. But that's all on the acquisition. Next is engagement. And engagement lets you know engaged sessions, user stickiness, how often they come back, what are they saying, conversions, and also pages and screens. Also, engagement is just giving you more information about your people on your website. What do they do when they come to your website? And I'll show you that as well. So if you scroll down here for engagement, you'll see that as well. So everything over here on the left side. The next thing is monetization, which is great, especially if you're selling things on your website. So what that does, it measures purchases, ads, and also subscriptions revenue. You can see how users interact with the items such as products you sell or services. So though everybody doesn't have that, but if you are selling something, it's really good to have that feature because you can really get a better understanding of what people are doing on your website. If you have sales, it's very key to understanding um, you know, what is going on your site and how sales are going. Once again, retention is going to be how loyal your customers are. So once again, finding out how frequently and for what and for how long they engage with your website after the first visit. So are they coming back to your website to get more information? Also, it tells you how valuable users are after their first visit. So what happens when they came back the next time? You want to keep an eye and track on that. Also demographics, which is really key. So it helps you classify your visitors by age, by location, by gender, and by interest, and also their browsing habits. And once again, like I always said, that's so key because the more you understand your customers, I think that the better your business will be. Why? Because you have a better understanding of who they are. So you know how to shape, how to package your products and your services, what to be in line with what that customer wants. So, based on their age, location, gender, and so on, now you can make sure your product and your services line up with that. So, if you have a site that's targeting people over 50, great. Now you know you're talking to baby boomers. You know about their income. You can decide to target men that speak English. It really gives you a better understanding of who you're targeting. So going back to even Ricky, what did we learn? So the first thing we're going to talk about is gut instincts. So going off the gut instincts, here's what they came up with. So their top audience was 35 to 44 and primarily female. Okay? Now, on the opposite, the data showed what? It showed that the top audience was 25 to 34 and primary male. Big difference, big age gap, and totally different gender. So once again, that's the power of analytics. It cuts out the guessing and lets you know exactly who you're targeting. The next thing, from their guessing, from their gut, the primary driver of traffic to the website was paid ads, what they thought. But in actuality, the primary driver of traffic to the website was coming from organic search. So once again, they're putting money into ads when all along, most of their traffic is coming from organic search. The next one, most purchases are from repeat customers, not first-time visitors. Guess what? The data says something different. The data says that most purchases come from first-time visits to the website. So once again, you can compare that. Pretty much every assumption they had about the customers was wrong. And if they only had taken some time to look at analytics, they would have found the right answers to the questions. So once again, that's the power of analytics. It's going to save you time and money, energy, and also cut down your frustration. So if you're wondering why this is not working on a website, look at the data. There's the reason why it's not happening. The data helps us find out why things are working and not working. So coming up at the end, recap and resources. So where to go from here? So we want to think about always having those goals in mind. And I gave you an example of Ricky. They wanted to decrease shopping cart abandonment rate by 6%, and they wouldn't do that within 3 months. Be very targeted about your goals because, let's face it, that's the only way you're going to achieve those goals, to be targeted. Next is ask the right questions. You have to ask those questions about your business, about what you're trying to do, because if you don't ask those questions, you're just guessing. You really are. So you want to ask those questions, and I'll review those questions for you real quick so we can all remember those. So the questions you have are about reach. Once again, who is your audience? Okay. Next, conversions. Think about, do leads become customers? Next, engage. Think about the customers. Can they find those answers? And also think about sustainability. Think about how to build a customer base that's loyal that comes back to your product again and again. Also, think about what tools you use. Of course, analytics is a great tool for measurement, and there's so many ways to use analytics to measure your customer on your website, and I will review a few of those. So one is the real-time dashboard, is acquisition, where the customers come from, engagement, how they interact with your company, monetization, tell you what they're buying and purchasing, retention, tell you how you're engaging, and also demographics, lets you know who your customer is. Because once again, when you know who they are, that's the key. And the last one is to measure results and then take action. So that's key. Once again, data is just numbers. We have to look at that data and then turn that data into actions. I'll give you an example. Let's say you go to the doctor and you find out you have high blood pressure. Those are just numbers. But guess what? Those numbers are indicator of what? Of heart health. So what do? You eat better, you work out, less fried food, less baked goods, and guess what? Your blood pressure goes down. And now you mean you have a healthy heart, you lower stroke risk and all that stuff. That's what I mean by action. So you find out your numbers, and then you have to take action, because numbers without action or nothing. They're just taking up space. So you have to turn those measurements of results into real actions. So where do we go from here? So Google Analytics has a has a ton of free services. Really depends who you are. The best thing to do is go to Google and just type in one of those things and find out more about their products and services, because they can definitely help you. Let me pull up this real quick. So once again, for free training and online tools, this is what you can do. So first, if you want more free training and tools, go to grow.com/Google. Everything I said there is there and more. There's videos, there's downloads, all about Google's products, all about the services, everything I touched on. Also, if you want more information, I think one of the best places is going to the US blackchambers.org. Amazing. This organization has so much free information and training on things from marketing to sales to access to capital to everything. If you go there, you can find about more trainings about Google products and also trainings about anything else. Also, if you came in late, if you missed anything, guess what? This webinar is being recorded, it's on demand. So if you're on YouTube, if you're on LinkedIn, or if you're on Facebook, guess what? You can replay this webinar and past ones, and you can find out exactly what we're talking about. So once again, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. Had a great time teaching and training about Google. And to close out, just gonna give you some more information on why it's so important. So, once again, I love Google because in many ways, Google has leveled the playing field. So no matter what kind of business you have right now, if you're a large business or small business, you have the same access to the same tools that everybody has. So before you needed a lot of money to run ads on TV, the radio, and print. But guess what? Now everything's digital. Everything's on our cell phones, on our laptops. And you can use Google's tools and services and your digital presence to what? To get more customers. You can be in your basement, your garage, you can be at your kitchen table, and you can be as big as you want online by using Google's tools and products and services, by having a website, by being on YouTube, by running Google ads. So that's the power of Google. That's the power of using these digital tools. And more as we go forward into the future, your business, it has to be digital. It has to be digital savvy. Now, what does that mean? Digital savvy means you have to have a website. You have to be on social media. You have to be using email, video. You have to take payments electronically on your website, send out invoices to your customers. You have to be digital savvy. Why? Because the companies that are winning now are digital savvy. And I believe that pandemic sped this up. Because why? We all are home. We were on our phones. We were on Zoom calls for our jobs. And I think what happened is we got used to technology more and more. Technology is a part of our lives now. It's not going away. The days of the phone book, they're over. This is the new phone book. Google is the new phone book. When people want to find your company, your services, they're not going to Google. I'm sorry, they are going to Google. They're not going to the phone book. They're going to their phone and they're typing in a search and they're trying to see if you're popping up on Google My Business, if you're popping on Google search. That's how they find you. The majority of your business is going to come from digital. So the days of referrals are dying out. And referrals are, what's the word? You can't count on referrals. They come and go. You can get 3 referrals one week and 0 referrals the next week. But Google, that's the way that people are using to research and to find companies, products, and services that they want. So you have to be there. I liken it to having a product. Yeah, you can sell a product out of the back of your car. But okay, but then you're limited to how much you can sell to where you can go. But let's say you get in retailers. Let's say you get on Amazon. You get in Walmart and Target. Wow, guess what? Now you're in a place where people already are. So how many millions of customers every day go to Google, go to Amazon, go to Target or Walmart? Millions. So by using all of Google's tools and services now, you are digital. And that is the way that people are finding companies. So you open yourself up now to unlimited customers, to millions of customers now. Billions have access to your company. And that's why you have to be digital savvy. And this not to scare you, but the companies that are not just digital savvy, guess what? They're going to die off. And they're going to die a very slow death because as we go on more and more, guess what? Your customers, they're demanding that you're digital savvy. They're demanding that you have a website. They're demanding that you take um, digital payments. All those things. They're a must. Why? Because things are changing. Things are moving. I use the example of Blockbuster. Back in the day, Blockbuster, they had a store on every street corner, it seemed like. And this thing called the internet came along in the late 90s. And Blockbuster said, oh, this internet thing is a fad. Why would people stream a movie at home or order a DVD when they can come to our store and get a DVD? And guess what? Blockbuster was wrong. They ignored technology, and by ignoring technology, they ignored the customers. And what happened? Year after year, Blockbuster, they faded. They lost customers. Things became more digital. Now, Blockbuster is gone. They're nowhere. Netflix and now other streaming companies have taken over. And streaming is now the way we consume, TV and movies and shows. So don't be that company that sleeps, that passes on digital marketing, that says, "Oh, this is not important." It is, and it's not what's the word? It's not I forgot the word, but it's a must. It's a must now that you're digital savvy, because the customers that find you not digital savvy are not going to choose you. And if they come to your website and it's out of date and slow, guess what? They're hitting the back button, going back to Google and finding a business or service that they can use. So, once again, that's why Google is so important. And to close out, that's why Google Analytics is so important, because Google Analytics empower you to make better business decisions. Why? Because it helps you get inside the head of your customer to find out what are they thinking, what are they browsing, what are they looking at. And then once again, you have now to take that data and turn that into action. So whether it's daily, weekly, bi-weekly, you need to sit down, even monthly, and look at your analytics, because you can gain so much information from looking at that data. It's key. You have to find out how your website is performing. You could be frustrated right now with your business, your service, but guess what? You may have the greatest product, the greatest service, but it can be small things that are off and are holding you back. But by sitting down, attending webinars, trainings like this, by looking at your website objectively, looking at your analytics, you can see those blind spots. And that's what it does. Google Analytics helps you identify those blind spots, the things that you can't see in your business. Because when it comes to data, there are no blind spots. There are no blind spots. Google Analytics is going to tell you exactly what's going on with your business, your website, your customers. And now it's on you to take advantage of that. So now you have the power. You don't have to guess anymore. You have the power. So if you don't log into your analytics on whatever interval that is and research those numbers to make changes, it's on you. But now you have the tools, you have the power to get a firm, quick understanding of what's happening in your website and make changes. So I'll start preaching. So once again, my name is Sterling McKinley. Thank you for joining us tonight on the webinar. I want to group with Google and also the good folks at the U.S. Black Chambers. Once again, I'm here every Thursday at 6 p.m. talking more about Google's product and services. And I'll be here next week on part 2 of how to use analytics to make better business decisions. And in that webinar, we're really going to kind of break down really how to use analytics. Tonight's class was more just an overview, but really going to share my screen with you and really break down how to navigate analytics. So thanks for your time. Have a good night, good weekend, and I'll see you later. Take care. Bye.